to go. Welcome to Senior Moment with Nurse Linda. She's the one with the purple hair. This is Dr. Charles Campbell, the man behind the camera. This is Nurse Linda, smiling and grinning at us over there today. And we're, what, 2 weeks from Thanksgiving?
1 week.
Really?
Next Thursday, yes.
Not this Thursday.
Not this Thursday, next Thursday.
Thursday.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to Ryan's. That's what I'm going to do. Today we're talking about what you see the little ads on TV. COPD. 3 sections on COPD, including causes and effect, and why you have it and why you don't want to have it, and exactly what it is. And I'd be interested to hear myself.
Yes, absolutely. My favorite commercial is the person laying on the sofa, and there's an elephant sitting on their chest. It's just perfect, because when people have COPD, that's exactly what they complain about. And here's why.
They're complaining about the Republicans again.
Not quite, not quite. COPD is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. It is a respiratory illness. It is one of the most common respiratory lung diseases, pulmonary diseases, whatever you want to call it. It's a lung disease.
It's a real disease, not like restless leg syndrome.
Yeah, well, don't go there, because people with restless leg, it's a real thing. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, we can't do that. But it is real, and they have a number of different diagnoses under this umbrella. It's an umbrella term, just like dementia is an umbrella term for Alzheimer's, Lewy body dementia, and a number of other things. COPD covers not just chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, but chronic obstructive lung disease, chronic bronchitis, and emphysema. They're common in that what happens is when you breathe air in, air goes through your breathing tube, it goes down into smaller and smaller little roadways or pathways, and they end in little bubbles called alveoli. They're called air sacs. What happens is those air sacs become damaged for a number of different reasons, which is we're going to talk about in a little bit. And air gets in there and it gets trapped. And you can't get it back out again. That's the obstruction part.
Ah.
So you can breathe it in, but you can't breathe it out. And you feel like you can't get enough air because your lungs are already filled with air.
Not water like pneumonia.
No,
fluid. Okay.
no, absolutely not. But you can't make that exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide, which is what your lungs are supposed to do, because they're already filled. It's sort of like trying to pour more water into a balloon. Only so much is going to go before it starts to spill over, and you just can't get any more in. It's the same idea. 2 main forms of COPD are chronic bronchitis and emphysema. Chronic bronchitis is characterized by long-term cough with mucus. So somebody who's coughing and coughing and coughing always feel like they've got something they have to bring up. That can be chronic bronchitis. It's a chronic inflammation of your bronchi. In medicalese terms, that itis means inflammation.
Ah.
And that's what that is. And from time to time, you need to have it treated by a doctor. Sometimes you don't, because it's a chronic condition. Emphysema is the destruction of lungs over time. And the lungs do become destroyed from emphysema. And they just become very baggy and not very useful anymore.
Caused by cigarette smoking?
That's one of the causes of it, and we're going to do a little bit more about causes in the next section and kind of let people know what they can and can't do to try to prevent it. The symptoms of COPD can be a chronic cough with or without mucus, because it's only bronchitis that carries the mucus part of it. Fatigue. You're breathing a lot harder than you realize. You get tired very easily. You're also not taking in the oxygen you need in order for your body to feel energized and replenished. You have multiple respiratory infections. And it's kind of like it's happening more and more and more and more, and you're going, why? It could be COPD.
What age range?
It could be any age range, depending on your exposure to some of the things we're going to talk about. So it usually hits later in life, after you've been smoking or have had exposure to certain things after 15, 20 years, but not all the time. Shortness of breath that increases with mild activity. So we're talking walking from your car to the store and you need to sit down because you can't catch your breath. That's significant. We're not talking running a marathon and then saying, gee, I'm out of breath.
Well, I thought that was just because I was overweight.
No, it could be COPD. You have to be careful.
Yeah.
Trouble catching your breath. On a windy day, on a cold day, you have difficulty taking in that air and feeling like you're able to breathe normally. Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
Wheezing.
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 Wheezing. Okay.
Wheezing, yes. And that could be, it's an audible sound, and it could be going in or going out when you breathe. Yeah, it's more of a.
That's scary. Stop it.
It's more of that squeaky kind of sound, and it can be loud and it can be very soft. These symptoms develop slowly, which is why people many times don't recognize what's coming, or they attribute it to age. And that's the other part of it. You talked about at what age this comes on, and sometimes people get into their 50s or their 60s, they're a little sedentary, not as active as they should be, so they feel a little shortness of breath. Oh, I really need to get out and exercise more. Oh, I really need to do this. I need to drop a few pounds. Go and see your doctor. Let your doctor determine what your shortness of breath may be from. Your multiple respiratory infections, especially if you're going to an urgent care, or what we lovingly call in the medical field, doc in the box. You're going to different ones. You have no one person counting. How many respiratory infections have you been treated for within the past 12 months? And you don't think anything of it, but if you tell the doctor, this is the 4th time this year I've been treated and it's only July. You know, that's an important part that the doctor should be aware of.
A warning sign along the road.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But do you have any questions about anything? That's pretty much, and we're happy to answer questions for anyone who may have any concerns about a loved one or themselves and the symptoms they're experiencing.
You got a call from Texas a week or so ago.
I did. Somebody watched us and called us from Texas and asked questions about a show we had done. Yes, it was exciting.
Our call-in number, 803-941-7231, over her right shoulder. 803-941-8231. Our brookhc.com for website.
Yes.
Our brookhc at sc.rr.com if you want to ask a question. Now, since we're not live, till we get our new studio, so you can call in right in, we'll talk about it.
Yes,
like
absolutely.
the guy who called in from Texas.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yes, you're a star. Coming up in part 2, COPD, what?
Yes, and we're going to talk about the causes and the complications. So we're going to figure out what causes it so you know what to do to avoid it.
You're listening to Senior Moment with Nurse Linda, talking about COPD today. And we'll be back after this word from, actually, we don't have a sponsor.
Not this week.
No. Well, we do. It's actually, I'll get to them later.